Okay, so today we're going to put together our fancy floral gift bag, or handbag, whatever you want to call it. And, well, just going to go over a couple things real quick. The little floral patterns here, if you want, you can hit these with a little bit of ink on the perimeter. Now, based on the color here, we did ours with a little bit of turquoise, just to kind of bring out the colors here as well. And you'll notice that there is some stitching on various pieces, and I took just a regular pencil and I think I kept one unstitched, or that I didn't actually pencil in, and I literally just took the pencil and just drew right onto the stitches here to kind of just darken them and make them a little more vivid and contrasty. So it's a very simple process. For those of you that have like a pen tool, you could probably do that with a pen, although I don't know. I honestly don't use the pen tool a lot, so I don't know how much it bleeds. So you may want to be careful with that. But anyway, let's just jump right in here. We have these two pieces here that are going to ultimately form triangles. And before we do that, I want to glue down the little sides here. So we have two little panels that are going to go on just one side of the triangle on both of these. So each one of these is going to get one of these triangle panels. So let's just get that glued into place. I want to work flat whenever I can. So let's get that glued down. And then we can build our little triangles. Again, these are going to make up the sides of our little handbag. Just make sure that you get this nice and centered. You should have a nice even border going all the way around, just like that. Make sure it's straight. That looks pretty good. I'll take it. Okay, we're gonna do the same thing with the other one. And get that in place. Put together a couple triangles and then form our bag, which is actually very simple. Looks different. This is a little bit different than what I think I'm used to as far as construction goes, but that's okay. Doesn't mean it's hard. It's just a little different. Okay, so we got that in place. And that one was a tad bit off, but that's all right. No one's going to notice that. Okay, so I've already folded everything at the score marks. Again, folding it so that the texture side of my beautiful AC cardstock is on the outside. And okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to put some glue on this little tab here, right up at the top of our little triangle. And we're going to connect that. I'm going to move this out of the way. Connect that to the other side. Make sure that your triangle is nice and aligned here at the very top. And just hold that in place for a moment. Might be a little bit of a tight squeeze. Not much room in that little corner there to get your finger in there, so do your best. And just hold that for a moment, let it set. Just like that. Yep, just like that. Let's try that again. I'm kind of having a rough craft day today. I don't know why. Let's try that one more time. There we go. And just be patient. Most of this is not going to be visible from the outside once we have everything constructed, but obviously we still want to do a good job. So be patient. Let that set. I think I got it that time. I didn't. What is going on here? All right, I'm going to add more glue. There we go. Okay, let's see if it'll work this time. If I need to, grab just a thin dowel, push that tab up against the inside. I don't think that's where it's having problems making contact. I think it's at the very tip, but it's extremely dry in here. And I can tell, you probably can't tell, but I've been my microphone is picking up a lot of static in the air, so it could have a lot to do with why my glue is not cooperating. I am definitely ready for some more warmer weather. There we go. That time it worked. Okay, so now we're going to take and we're going to glue these little tabs to the bottom. So get a little bit of glue on there. In my case, I may just need to use a little extra glue on this black for some reason. And fold that over, get it nice and lined up, and just hold and squeeze that together. I think this side is a little bit easier because I can get my fingers in there a lot better. But be patient, let that set. There we go. And that just leaves one more little triangle over here on this side. Let's get that glued down. And I'm going to use the tip of my glue nozzle to spread that glue out a little bit and pop that behind this tab here. Line it up nicely, press and hold. And give that a second to set. And then we just need to close it up. Okay. There we go. All right, so we've got these two large tabs and then obviously like a little lid, so to speak. We're going to fold that over onto itself once we get our glue on these tabs. Okay, so work the surface, and then I'm going to do a thin little line right up against the very edge here. And spread that glue out to the very perimeter so that when I go to close this up, it gives me a nice clean seam. And just pop that on top. You may need to kind of nudge these walls in a little bit just to make sure they're making good contact. And just kind of run your finger along the perimeter a couple times right at the very edge. Just make sure that it's making good contact. Then you can kind of press down with the surface of your hand just to make sure that everything's making good contact while it sets. Okay. There we go. And I can see here that I've got one little area that's kind of flaring up there. No worries. Here's a scrap piece of paper. I'll throw a little bit of glue right on the very edge of it and just pop it in between those two layers. Paint a little bit of glue onto that surface and press and hold that down in that little section where it wasn't cooperating, and now it will cooperate. Okay, so there's our first triangle. Nice. Let's do it again. And this time we're going to do it, and we're not going to run into problems because we learn from our mistakes. So get your glue on this tab here, and I'm going a little heavier this time because I learned my lesson. And connect it with the other side there. This is the tip of the triangle here, right at the top. Okay, and then I'm going to grab my dowel and pop it in there just to kind of push up against that and make sure it's making more contact. And I'm going to be more patient this time, not pull it away as quick, and I can already tell that we're going to succeed on our first try this time. Okay, there we go. Fingers crossed. All right, so go ahead and get your glue on the next little triangular tab. We'll glue that to the bottom, just like that, and fold that over. Let me move this out of the way. There we go. And just line that up nicely. Press and hold. Give that a chance to set. There we go. There we go. And our last little triangular tab here. Again, might need to use, you can use your glue nozzle to kind of spread the glue around, or grab that scrap piece of paper that we used to fix it and use that to kind of spread the glue around. Whoops. And just connect that, make sure it's nice and lined up. Wipe off any excess that may have kind of spit out there. And just hold that in place. You can see what we're doing here. Just kind of making a dimensional triangle. That should do it. And just like we did before, throw some glue on the tab. And a nice little line right out to the edge. And I'm just going to take and paint that out to the very edge. I think this time, not going to have to worry about running into any problems. I got enough glue on there where it's not drying out as fast. Just close that up. And you can still see the glue there, which means that I kind of just need to nudge that in a little bit because it's not totally lined up. Same with this side here. Just nudge it in. And you can put that on your surface. And you can really kind of feel with your fingers if everything is nice and lined up or not. There we go. Perfect. And so far, everything's making good contact. I don't have anything pulling up. And I did a lot better on this triangle than I did the first one. Okay. All right, so we've got our two triangles. Again, these are going to be the sides of our box, or our handbag, I should say. And at this point, we can do a couple simple things just to get them out of the way so we have less pieces. We've got these two handles here, and then we've got these little white pieces that are going to go on top. So let's just get our glue onto the white piece and then glue that on top of the turquoise piece here. And I kind of flipped it over. So I'm gluing the smooth side onto the smooth side so that I have the texture side facing outwards on both of these sides here. That way I can kind of maintain more consistency, and I do like the look of the texture over the smooth side. It's just more aesthetically pleasing, and it also actually photographs better too, so I may as well use the sides that look nicer. Okay, so there's one handle. I can put that off to the side. We'll be using that a little bit later. And we'll do the same thing to this one here. Just throw a little bit of glue on there. Try to work it out to the perimeter. Like that. And I'm going smooth side to smooth side. Line that up all the way around. There we go. And just press that down. So that is nice and done. Leave that. You could probably take these and put them underneath your craft mat here, just so that they kind of flatten out nicely. We've also included a little tag, and there's a white section, a white piece that goes on top of the black piece. So we're just gonna glue that down real quick. And you want to line this up with the little hole. We're going to adhere this or attach this to our little bag with some string. And that's what the hole is there for. You can put your recipient's name on there as well. Or if you've got a tiny little stamp with a sentiment, obviously you can do that as well. Okay, so that's all to the side. And now we can just kind of focus on the bulk of the bag. And before we do that, though, what we can do, now this is the bottom of our bag. This is the back of the bag. This is a little flap, and then this is going to be the front of the bag. Okay, so what we can do, we're going to attach this piece to this tab here. Now make sure that you're attaching it correctly. Take a look at this piece here. It has some little score marks here to help you place the handle. You want that to be towards the top. Okay, so this would be the bottom. Let me explain that one more time. The little markers here for the handle are on top. This is the bottom. We're going to attach the bottom to this tab here. Okay, so let's do that. Let's grab our glue and hit this tab here. And a nice line right up to the very base there, the bottom. Let's spread that glue out, just like that. And we can kind of do this flat actually. Well, I'm going to start like this and then put it down flat. No, I'm not. I'm just changing my mind all over the place today, aren't I? There we go. And just get that lined up with that little score mark there. Make sure it's nice and even on both sides. Press that down, and I'm going to fold that over onto itself and give that a little bit of a nudge so that it's nice and aligned. There we go. And just press, make sure that that gets a good hold. There we go. Okay, so again, this is our front, this is our back, and then that's going to slide through like that. All right, everything looks good there. Okay, now what we can do, we've got a little panel here that we can put on the front, and that is going to go on just like this. Okay, you want to make sure that you get this nice and centered and leave enough room. Well, obviously make sure that you're not obstructing these little marks for the handle. If you do, obviously it's not centered. So just try to center it as best as you can and keep a nice even border all the way around. Okay, so let's get our glue on this piece here. Definitely work the perimeter all the way. And we gotta work quickly. I can already see this section drying out. It is so dry here. No wonder everyone's sick. Okay. All right, nice and centered. Use those little markers there for the handle as a guide. And that looks pretty darn good there. Beautiful. This pattern on the black is a really nice contrast. It makes it nice and bold. Okay, so there's that piece. And maybe give that a moment to really dry before we do anything else. Okay, all right, so here's how this is gonna work. Now we've got our little triangles here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna glue these triangles to our base, like so. It's very simple. Just wanna make sure that when we glue these, we are not obstructing, and I'm gonna actually lift this up so that I know how far this way our triangle can go. So when we're gonna put glue on the base of this triangle, we're gonna lift this up and kind of use that seam right there, that little score mark, as our guide so we know how far over. Because if we do that, if we try to glue this down without this being up, we may accidentally go past this little fold, and it's not gonna do us any good. But anyway, let's grab our glue and put your glue on the bottom of this triangle. Now, obviously, you want to make sure that whatever panel you have on here is facing out. You don't want it facing in. Okay, and I'm going to spread this glue onto the entire bottom here. So we've got a nice even coat. Okay, if you have any excess there, just get rid of it. Okay, so I'm going to lift this up. I'm going to take this. The edge of this needs to be right up to the edge or the side here. And then lift this up so that you know how far in you can go. Just make sure that you get that nice and lined up. Okay, it won't go any further in, so that's about right there. And just hold that down in place, and that looks perfect there. And that looks pretty darn good there too. And then ultimately what we're gonna do is, well, we're gonna take and I think this side gets glued like that, yeah, or no. Yeah, no, this side's gonna get glued down. Okay, we'll show you that in a minute. Anyway, keep holding that triangle down. Make sure that it sets fully before we move on to the other side. And that's on there pretty well. Again, make sure that your panel is facing out. You don't want it facing in to the inside of the handbag. You want it facing out. So let's grab our glue and get it on the bottom of this triangle. And let's spread this out. Make sure we get it out to the very edges. Just like that. And again, I would lift this up and use that as a guide. So we're going to place this down, make sure it's right up to the very edge of the base. And and then just kind of push it until it doesn't go any further up against that little seam there, that fold. Okay, that's perfect. We'll hold that down in place until that sets. This is the easiest way we figured to make this bag without getting too crazy and having a ton of pieces. So I hope you appreciate the simplicity, even though it seems a little, oh, what's the word? It's just simplified. You still get the full effect once everything's done. It's just nice and simplified, that's all. Okay, all right, so that looks pretty darn good there. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put glue on this side here and this side here of the triangle, and we're gonna glue this to those sides. Okay, so in essence, we're almost done with the shape here. And I think what I'm gonna do, yeah, we can do both at the same time. It should be fine. All right, so again, this part here, we're gonna put glue on these two sides, and we're gonna glue that to these two sides here. Okay, let me get some glue out to the bottom here. I never hold the glue bottle like this. This is kind of awkward. And you definitely want to get some glue out to the very edge here on the outside. Okay. And work that glue right out to the very edge. Just like that. Okay, and we're going to flip this up. You want to make sure that this piece is nice and flush up against our little triangle here. Just like that. And then the same thing on this side. I may need to put some more glue on that side there. Okay, but just hold that in place. Give it a chance to set. And just make sure it's nice and flush there. And just hold that. You can actually put this down on your surface and push down like that if you want. Just be patient while that sets. And this is a good sized compartment now that we have here. Okay. And if for some reason, and I already have a couple sections that did not fully take here, I've got a little bit of an area here that's peeling away. Not a problem. Just throw a little bit of glue on a scrap piece of paper, tuck it in between the two little areas there, paint a little extra glue into that section, and then press and hold that down until it fully sets. Okay, so we can definitely clean that up. I think for some reason, because I don't know if it's the color, I notice sometimes different colored cardstock just doesn't absorb glue as well, and it could have something to do with the dye and the amount of dye that's required to make paper a certain color. And you can see here, I don't know if you can see it because it's black on black. I can see it, but I've got another little area here that needs a little extra love. So just throw a little bit of glue right on my scrap piece of paper and just paint a little bit of extra glue into that area that is just kind of not playing nice. And I'll just press and hold that in place until it is playing nice. And I don't know if you saw what just happened there, but I am having some glue issues here today. This whole thing just came undone. I don't know if maybe my glue is old. I just opened it the other day. Whoops. Hey, you know what? I love showing you my mistakes because you'll see that even though I'm messing up right now, the outcome is still going to look great. And this is going to be the project that I photograph for the website. So can always fix things as we go. All right, so you saw that little piece that came apart. I just threw a little extra glue on there. Now I'm holding that specific area there where I had some issues, and I'm letting that set, just kind of giving it some extra attention because it needs it for whatever reason. I really think it's because of the black Okay, and I've got one more little area here. I'm gonna paint that with a little bit of glue and just press that into place. And now I've got a beautiful seam there. Everything is nice and flush. Same with this side. I couldn't be happier. Nice end result. Just be patient and let that set, otherwise it may pull away again. And we don't want that. Okay, so almost done here. Now you'll see how this works now. This front is going to close up. That's going to go down. We're going to put a little Velcro dot there to kind of keep that closed. Okay, so you see the shape, and that looks nice. Now what we need to do is we need to put this panel on. I kind of waited until this point, just so that we have a nice structure to kind of use as support, and because we wanted to make sure that when we glued this on, that the flap was actually closed. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to actually put glue on the flap portion first. I said flap with a P, not flat with a T. And we're going to glue that down first. And we're going to let that set, and then we'll glue the back on. Okay, so kind of just use the little mountain here to set that in place. Get it centered. Make sure it's centered. And then you can press that down onto the black piece here. That looks pretty good. There we go. Oh, and by the way, there is a little cutout here, or there's some little markers in the circle for a button that we've included. Now, we're not using that button. You can glue yours down. We're actually using this. So if you have, you know, like an actual non-paper item that you want to put here just to kind of jazz this up, you're more than welcome to do that. But we did include just a little circle there that you can put there if you don't have something else to use like we do. All right, so now I can go ahead and fold this out, and we're going to put glue on this piece so that we can glue this to the back. Okay, try to work that glue as close to and maybe up to the perimeter so that it doesn't come pulling away. And then we're just going to pop that right onto the back. Whoops. And just go ahead and just place that right on there. Got a little glue there. And just make sure that it's making good contact all the way around there. Okay, so there's the majority of our handbag. You can see how it's going to open up. Okay, now we've got these little pieces here that we're going to glue down, and these are actually going to be flush with the base down here, so you don't want to put them up here. We're going to glue them down. They're going to be flush with the side of this pattern, but they're also going to be flush with the very bottom. Okay, and actually, you know what, before we do that, we do have this additional piece here that is just kind of to reinforce the bottom to make it stronger. So let's get that in place. And I'm actually going to put glue on the bottom and then just put this piece on it, because then that way I can work the glue out to the very edges here. So I'm going to go a little bit heavier here with the glue, because I've got a lot of surface area to cover. That's fine. And just, I'm going to need more than that. I really think that this black just really sucks up the glue like really fast. I wish I could somehow do an experiment and figure that out. I bet there's a way. Okay, and we're just going to pop that right on the bottom. Just make sure it's nice and centered. And again, that's going to kind of reinforce the bottom, make it a little bit stronger for us. Okay. Just want to work your fingers around the perimeter, make sure it's making good contact all the way around. And if for some reason you've got little areas that are maybe not making good contact, you can always use the little scrap piece of paper method to throw a little bit of glue in between the sections there, and get it to really hold nicely. Okay, and I'm just going to demonstrate that real quick because I've got a section here that is not playing nice. And I'm just going to take my scrap piece of paper and just tuck it in between these two layers. Paint a little bit of glue in there and just press and hold that in place. My whole section here on the end is coming off as well. So I'm just going to throw a little bit of glue in there. And press that down. Very simple little fix, just to make it look nice. Okay, so anyway, all that's left to do now is put our little handles on. Oh, and also, of course, these little guys. Okay, so as I mentioned, these pieces here, these are going to be put on. They're going to be lined up with the edge of this pattern, but they're also going to be flush with the bottom of our bag. So just a little bit of glue on these. Don't need a lot. So a small little piece. Okay. And again, nice and flush with the bottom and lined up with the pattern, just like so. There we go. Grab your next one. There's 4 of these that are all the same size, so it doesn't matter which one you grab. They're all symmetrical and identical. Okay, so again, this one here, nice and flush with the very bottom of the bag, but also lined up with the side or the edge of this pattern. There we go. That looks nice. And we'll flip it over. Same thing on the back. And then all we really have to do is put our handles on. That little tag that I put together, we'll just tie that around the handles. So just take a look at the photo for how we did that. I'm sure you can just, I don't think you need help tying a string. Okay. That one is in place. That looks nice. And the last one, and we'll get our handles on and call it a day. So this one should take you, if you're not blabbing like me and having to go in and fix areas where maybe the glue isn't cooperating, you should probably be able to get this done in about 30 minutes. Okay, so there's the last one. There's our front. And let me move this out of the way before I make a mess. Don't forget the tag. I'm going to just use some string to tie that around one of the handles. And let's grab our handles. There they are. And you'll notice that, oh, I forgot almost forgot, our Velcro dot. If you want to use magnets, you can use magnets. We have these handy little Velcro dots that we're going to use to keep our little flap closed. And it just, I took the backing off of one of them, and I'll put it on the inside there. I'll remove the backing off of the other side that's still connected to the other piece of Velcro. There we go. Then we'll just close it where we want it, and it should grab a hold of the paper there, right there. And once that's adhered, there you go. And now it'll keep it nice and snug and closed. Okay, but all that's left to do now is close this up and put our little handles in place. Okay, so our handles are going to go like that. You've got little markers there to help you with the placement. So that's all you really need to do. What I would do is just, well, we can put glue on the back of this, like so. Just a nice little circle in that little circular area, and get that nice and lined up using those little markers there. Hopefully you can see them. There we go. And just hold that in place for a moment, and then we'll do the same thing on the other side. And just throw a little bit of glue on the handles at the base, like that. That looks nice. Okay, and let's actually open this up so that we're not fighting here. There we go. And again, just using the little markers there to help with the placement. Hopefully you can see them. There we go. And feed that. Whoa, hey now. And that's what happens when you rush. Okay, I still have my glue on there. This will be fine. I'm trying to close it and demonstrate it well before it was even dry, so that was silly of me. We'll give that a moment to dry. And again, remember, we did include a little button there for you. If you want to use the button, you're welcome to use the paper button. I'm going to hot glue this onto the center there just to add that little embellishment. And then take a look at the final photo as well. I've got some gold pearls that we're going to put a couple on the handle, a couple on the bag itself. So take a look at that for ideas on embellishing this a little bit more, but that is it, really. The bag is done. So hope you guys enjoyed the process. If you did, head on over to our YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button. And while you're there, hit the little bell so that you get notifications anytime we release a free or paid product or any of our tutorials. And if you make this or anything from our new bundle, we'd love to see it. So head on over to your Facebook and do a search for Dreaming Tree Group, or you can use the little link here below. And you can join myself and the 18,000, going on 19,000 other dreamers that inspire us daily. So thank you again for joining me. Hope you enjoyed the little handbag here, and I look forward to crafting with you again.